Essay 5. Human Rights in the Age of Inequality. By Samuel Moyn. Summary. In his thought-provoking work Human Rights in the Age of Inequality, Samuel Moyn explores into the intricate relationship between human rights, widespread inequality, and the limitations of the human rights framework to address the pressing issue of global inequalities. Moyn's analysis revolves around the notion that while human rights have gained significant prominence as a moral and legal force, they fall short in effectively challenging the general global inequalities that afflict our world. The central argument put forth by Moyn is the glaring mismatch between the gravity of the egalitarian crisis and the capabilities of the human rights remedy. Human rights, as a concept, emerged as a response to the atrocities of World War II and were subsequently enshrined in international charters and agreements. They offer a universal set of entitlements that individuals possess simply by virtue of being human, encompassing a range of civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. However, Moyn posits that while the human rights framework is adept at addressing violations of these rights at the level of individual states, it is ill-equipped to tackle the deeply entrenched global inequalities that perpetuate human suffering on a massive scale. Moyn's argument can be understood as a call for perspective. He suggests that the human rights movement has largely focused on ensuring basic dignities, such as freedom from torture and discrimination, within nation-states. However, it struggles to address the broader systemic issues that give rise to inequality on a global scale, such as economic disparities, resource distribution, and the concentration of power in the hands of a few. The human rights framework, designed to prevent the worst excesses of state power, finds itself inadequate when confronting the far-reaching effects of economic and social inequalities that span multiple nations and regions. Moyn contends that the modern human rights movement arose during an era when inequalities were less severe and less visible, enabling the framework to function as a powerful tool for advocating for individual rights. But as inequality has surged, the limitations of this approach have become more pronounced. He suggests that human rights have been co-opted by powerful interests and governments to divert attention from structural inequalities. This co-option often results in a mere supplemental approach, where human rights concerns are employed to patch over the consequences of inequality rather than confront its root causes. Furthermore, Moyn highlights the historical evolution of the human rights movement, emphasizing its origin as a relatively narrow framework concerned primarily with political and civil liberties. The expansion of rights to encompass economic and social dimensions, while significant, has not translated into meaningful action on the global inequality front. The focus on individual rights has, in some cases, overshadowed the broader structural changes necessary to address inequality in a substantive manner. In essence, Moyn's argument underscores the need for a comprehensive re-evaluation of the human rights framework in the context of modern-day inequalities. While he does not dismiss the importance of human rights in promoting individual dignity and protecting against state abuses, he challenges the movement to confront its limitations and embrace a more holistic approach to addressing the complex and interconnected challenges posed by global inequalities. Samuel Moyn's Human Rights in the Age of Inequality provokes a critical examination of the human rights framework's capacity to combat widespread global disparities. By highlighting the mismatch between the scope of the crisis and the capabilities of the remedy, Moyn underscores the need for a more nuanced and comprehensive approach to addressing the root causes of inequality. The work serves as a catalyst for reimagining the role of human rights in shaping a more equitable world, one that transcends the boundaries of state-centric frameworks and delves into the complex realm of systemic change. Understanding the text. Answer the following questions. L. What is the first human rights declaration adopted by the United Nations? The inaugural Human Rights Declaration embraced by the United Nations is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR. Enacted in 1948, it underscores a holistic range of rights, encompassing civil, political, economic, and social dimensions. While the UDHR originated with a primary focus on civil and political liberties, it eventually acknowledged the significance of economic and social rights. This evolution illustrates the recognition that true human rights require addressing both individual freedoms and broader societal equity. Thus, the UDHR's inaugural stance reverberates the importance of integrating economic and social rights into the human rights discourse, cementing a comprehensive foundation for global rights advocacy. B. When is Human Rights Day observed? Human Rights Day, a significant annual observance, falls on the 10th of December. This date commemorates the historic adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948, marking a pivotal moment in the recognition of fundamental rights for all individuals across the globe. This day serves as a global reminder of the ongoing struggle to uphold these rights and eliminate injustices. It provides a platform to reaffirm commitment to human dignity, equality, and justice. Human Rights Day transcends borders, cultures, and ideologies, uniting people in the common goal of promoting and safeguarding the inherent rights and freedoms of every person, as enshrined in the Declaration. C. What is the goal of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR, encompasses a multifaceted goal of fostering global equality and justice. Its primary objective is to rectify socio-economic disparities by ensuring fairness, dignity, and justice for all individuals, regardless of their socio-economic background. By emphasizing the universality of human rights, the UDHR seeks to bridge the gap between the affluent and the underprivileged, thereby mitigating the inequalities rooted in socio-economic status. Additionally, the Declaration aspires to fortify the fundamental pillars of freedom, justice, peace, and harmony on a worldwide scale. By establishing a comprehensive framework of rights and liberties, the UDHR endeavors to create a world where every person's inherent worth is acknowledged, and where the principles of equality and justice form the cornerstone of human interactions across nations and cultures. D. What are two big stages that involve writing the history of human rights in relation to that of political economy? The historical narrative of human rights intertwined with political economy can be divided into two significant stages. The first stage is characterized by the post-World War II era, often referred to as the heroic age of national welfare. During this phase, the devastation of the war led to a widespread acknowledgement of the need to address social and economic inequalities. The creation of welfare states and the establishment of the United Nations fostered a global commitment to human rights, recognizing that socio-economic well-being is integral to individual dignity. The second stage emerged during the 1940s, marked by the ascendancy of political economy as a driving force in global affairs. This period saw the rise of two dominant ideologies, democracy and communism, leading to the Cold War division of the world. Political economy, with its focus on the interaction between politics and economics, played a pivotal role in shaping these ideological blocs and influencing their human rights approaches. This era underscored how differing economic and political systems impacted the perception and implementation of human rights, highlighting the intricate connection between political ideologies, economic models, and the pursuit of human dignity on a global scale. E. What are the facts that have been missed in Roosevelt's call for a second Bill of Rights? Roosevelt's call for a second Bill of Rights held several overlooked aspects. Firstly, it emerged as a response from a somewhat insular America, entering a pre-established North Atlantic consensus. This contextualizes the call within a global framework where similar sentiments were already being discussed and implemented. Secondly, Roosevelt's proposition wasn't merely about establishing a safety net for the masses, it was about curbing the excessive privileges enjoyed by a few. It aimed to set a cap on inequality rather than simply providing a minimum threshold of protection. Lastly, while Roosevelt envisioned these rights to have a global reach, the execution was more national than international in scope. This limitation hindered the broader global application he had hoped for, highlighting the challenges of translating visionary ideals into practical, cross-border implementations. These nuances shed light on the complexities and intricacies of Roosevelt's proposal for a second Bill of Rights, showcasing the interplay between national and international contexts in shaping the trajectory of human rights and equality. F. Write the truth expressed in Herodotus's Histories. In Herodotus's Histories, a fundamental truth surfaces. The concept of global socio-economic justice mirrors its local counterpart in requiring redistribution, driven by unique forms of legal activism, from the affluent to the less privileged. Herodotus, often considered the father of history, recognized the universal nature of socio-economic inequalities and the need for equitable systems. This echoes the modern understanding that social and economic justice necessitate deliberate efforts to realign wealth and resources. By noting the role of legal activism as a catalyst for change, Herodotus underscores the importance of innovative mechanisms to ensure fairness and balance. Thus, his historical observations offer a timeless lesson that addressing disparities, whether on a local or global scale, mandates dynamic strategies for resource redistribution to uphold justice and empower marginalized populations. G. Why is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights important to you? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights holds immense significance for me due to its commitment to socio-economic equality, transcending barriers of caste, creed, and religion. Its relevance lies in championing the rights, justice, equity, and equality of all individuals. By addressing disparities and prejudices, the Declaration strives to eliminate injustice, inequality, discrimination, and biases from society's fabric. It underscores the fundamental principle that every person, regardless of background, deserves dignity and respect. This resonates with my values and aspirations for a just and harmonious world. The Declaration's inclusive vision aligns with my belief in the power of collective progress, inspiring me to advocate for the rights and well-being of all, contributing to a more fair, compassionate, and equitable society. Reference to the context. Does the essay give ways on how to stigmatize inequality? Explain. The essay Human Rights in the Age of Inequality addresses the historical context of World War II, the division of nations into democratic and communist blocs, and the emergence of the human rights movement and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. While the essay doesn't provide explicit methods for stigmatizing inequality, it highlights the pervasive nature of inequality and its potential consequences. Inequality is depicted as a societal affliction with far-reaching consequences, impacting various dimensions of human life. The essay suggests that unchecked inequality can disrupt social harmony, exacerbate the wealth gap between different strata of society, and trigger conflicts that lead to cultural, economic, and social crises. This portrayal of inequality emphasizes its potential to undermine the well-being of individuals and society at large. The essay underscores the importance of human rights advocacy in addressing inequality. While the essay does not explicitly outline strategies, it implies that the implementation of human rights principles is crucial to challenging and stigmatizing inequality. By ensuring that human rights are upheld and protected, societies can work toward reducing disparities, promoting equal opportunities, and fostering a more just and equitable environment. While the essay may not provide specific ways to stigmatize inequality, it serves as a call to action by highlighting the damaging consequences of unchecked inequality and the need to uphold human rights principles to address this pressing issue. It encourages societies to actively promote social and economic equality through the application of human rights standards, fostering an environment of fairness, justice, and inclusivity. B. Is another human rights movement necessary? Why? Certainly, another human rights movement is imperative. Despite the existence of global human rights frameworks, they often succumb to political manipulation and suppression. Human rights violations are rampant across countries, regardless of their political orientation. Those in power frequently flout laws and infringe upon people's rights. Inequalities persist, with a stark gap between the privileged and the marginalized. Societies are marred by political and socio-cultural dominance, impeding the realization of rights. While laws exist on paper, their implementation is lacking. Marginalized groups suffer from racial, social, and economic disparities. Given these circumstances, a robust human rights movement is vital to foster social justice, equality, and dignity. Such a movement would empower those oppressed by injustice, discrimination, and inequality, allowing them to lead lives of self-respect, dignity, equity, and justice. Reference beyond the text. What are the challenges in maintaining human rights in Nepal? In Nepal, maintaining human rights is marked by a multitude of challenges that stem from historical, social, and political complexities. Samuel Moyn's essay Human Rights in the Age of Inequality provides a broader perspective on global human rights concerns, which can be applied to Nepal's context. Nepal has undergone significant political transitions, including the shift from a monarchy to a federal democratic republic. While this transformation promised a more inclusive society, challenges persist. The country grapples with issues such as discrimination against marginalized groups including Dalits, indigenous peoples, and women. These groups face unequal access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities, reflecting an entrenched social hierarchy that hinders the realization of their human rights. Furthermore, Nepal's political landscape has been characterized by instability and power struggles. This has led to an inconsistent application of the rule of law, weak governance, and impunity for human rights violations. The transition from a decade-long civil war also brought challenges in addressing past atrocities and ensuring justice for victims. Economic inequality exacerbates human rights issues. Rural-urban disparities are significant, with limited access to resources and services in remote areas. Additionally, corruption and lack of transparency in public institutions hinder the effective delivery of services to the population. Freedom of expression and press freedom have faced setbacks, with incidents of censorship and attacks on journalists. This undermines the right to information and the ability to hold those in power accountable. While Nepal has ratified several international human rights treaties and adopted a progressive constitution, the challenge lies in translating these commitments into tangible improvements in the lives of its citizens. The gap between legal frameworks and their effective implementation persists. To overcome these challenges, a multifaceted approach is required. Strengthening institutions, promoting social inclusion, addressing economic disparities, and ensuring accountability for human rights violations are crucial steps. Civil society, media, and citizens play pivotal roles in advocating for change and pressuring the government to fulfill its human rights obligations. In essence, Nepal's challenges in maintaining human rights mirror global struggles highlighted by Moyn. The journey towards a more just and equal society necessitates not only the existence of legal frameworks but their effective enforcement, along with a collective commitment to addressing inequality, injustice, and discrimination. Best of luck.